Borderlands is a fun game, but the devs have made some choices that have made me wonder, frankly, what were they thinking? Like the bank, for example. Now, this is my main Rafa, so I've put mostly legendaries in there. I put firmware in there that I want to eventually rip out. But the problem is, this 400, that isn't shared across all your characters. You see, there's an SDU portion, and if you've upgraded the bank at all, I've upgraded it to 7. I stopped upgrading it once I realized what was going on. This increases the max amount of slots, but your other characters don't get this amount of slots until they upgrade it themselves. So let's see what happens when I jump into another character. So here I am on Harlow. She's also level 50. The problem is she hasn't upgraded her bank. So if I was to use the bank, I can withdraw, but I can't deposit. As you can see here, I click on an insufficient space because it's 191 out of 100. My space for this character is only 100. So if I was to say withdraw something, I am not able to deposit it back. As you can see, I can't deposit anything back. So the bank is essentially worthless. If on this character I pick up something that I want to transfer over to another character, I'm not able to do that because I can't deposit it in the bank and therefore use it as intended to transfer between characters. And if you watched my last video, you'd see that I fairly conclusively proved that as of the state of the game right now, class mods drop less frequently for the character that you're on. So if I'm on Harlow, I would go on to Rafa, for example, to find the Harlow mods, and then I could transfer it over. But if I haven't upgraded my bank, I'm not able to do that. Now, why exactly would Gearbox do this? Because this is a conscious choice. You know, you should be able to transfer items over to different characters, and it shouldn't be restricted by how big their bank space is, and it shouldn't be hamstrung by that. I shouldn't have to go into my main, take everything out somehow and just leave it on the floor, because that's all going to disappear because the lost loot machine isn't working, which I'll get to soon. But, ooh, hello. Let's just buy that while we're here. So looking at the map, we can see that this is the biggest map that they've ever done. Maybe if you stitch together everything in Borderlands 3, it'll be bigger. But what they did to make you want to explore this map is make it so most rewards are SDU tokens. So you have to upgrade your ammo, your bank capacity, and your lost loot capacity with these tokens. What is the point of exploring, they thought, if you don't get some kind of reward? And I agree with that. But making it so it's the SDU tokens has completely screwed up every character that you make, because for one, when you make a new character, you start off just at the bottom here and you've got almost nowhere to fast travel to. So for example, I need to make it over to this vault, but the closest fast travel point is down here at Zadra's backup plan. We know how hard that is to get out of. So that's another issue, is starting on a new character, because you don't have all the main missions, you have to go into this replay section in order to start getting, in an easy way, all the fast travel points back. Unless you want to just drive around the map manually collecting everything, and getting these safe houses is actually a pain in the ass a lot of the time. So I don't know why, and I'm sure you guys are thinking the same thing, why this isn't all transferable to other characters. Why do, on my main character, why is it that unlocking something doesn't unlock it on all the other characters? It makes no sense, except to sell the notion that you need to collect these SDU tokens, you need to upgrade everything, and that's why you need to explore, essentially. So I think that in itself is a fundamentally flawed system, because it's almost incentivizing you not to make a level 30 character on Ultimate Vault Hunter rank 1, well, besides the fact that it's going to be severely underpowered. But also the fact that you missed the whole story mission and you missed getting all of the waypoints. So I had to manually go up to this location here to Carcadia just so I could go over to the Mooncall Throne and farm a Harlow class mod. The only thing that actually is shared is the customization. So if I unlock, say, the gyro sled, I'm able to use that on all my characters. but that's the only thing that is shared. Even the specializations, which Gearbox said would be shared, is not. So Harlow here has her own specializations and Rafa has his own, which doesn't make any sense. They should be shared account-wide because it's almost punishing you for not playing your main after you've finished Ultimate Vault Hunter rank 5 and there's nothing left for you to do. You should be able to jump on a new character and continue investing into the specializations, but you can't. More damning though is just the storage deck upgrade stuff. You know, why should I have to explore the world and do all of these side content missions in order to upgrade my bank capacity? It feels like a setback from the other Borderlands, from Borderlands 3 especially. There's other things that we'll go through soon which feels like it's been set back as well, but I believe the reason for not sharing things across all your characters or account wide is because of this. It is because of the storage deck upgrade system, and I think this in particular has just set everything back because they want you on every character to go and say finish this propaganda speaker. Even if you finished it on your main, they want you to come back and do it again. They want you to keep exploring. That's why there's still fog of war on most of my secondary characters map here. It's because they want to give you a reason to get all these collectibles again, and there's not really a good reward for doing all of this again. The only thing that you get is the ability to catch up to your other character and get as much ammo as you need without running out mid-fight to get enough bank capacity just so you can use the bank. Now, when it comes to the lost loot, this is something else that I tested. It simply does not work. Now, if you want to see the video where I do test this out and the video where I test out the class mods, that's my last video on the channel, go check it out. But this is just not working. I went and farmed a bunch of legendaries and purples and I left them on the ground. They have not hit the lost loot machine. This is currently capped at 6. There should be a filter, not a filter to see what's in the lost loot machine, a filter to say to the game, I only want you to collect legendary items, or I only want you to collect epics and legendaries. There should be that feature. Without that feature, it seems like it's been fundamentally set back. As of right now, it doesn't always collect the loot that's dropped. I've proven in my last video that it doesn't pick up legendaries that you've left on the ground most of the time. It only picks up what it decides it wants to pick up. It's not going to just get anything that you've left in the world. So it is not working. It's not working as intended, so you can't rely on it. You can't just leave items on the ground knowing that they're going to come here. And it needs something to fix this. It needs a filter of some kind. I don't know what Gearbox was thinking with this machine, but it just doesn't work and it's not reliable. Before I forget as well, we also have something else that doesn't share that it really sets you back, and it's just unintuitive not to be shared across accounts, is the hover drive. So I've fully farmed up a rank 5 Jacobs hover drive, which makes traversal of the world much easier. Now on this character, I'm set back because I have to start from rank 1 again, so things are slower. I'm going to have to farm enemies with a specific manufacturer. It's just not intuitive. If I want to get all 5 ranks, it's going to take thousands of hours. It's not going to take hundreds, because you need to use, you know, a Jacobs rifle for, you know, 20-30 hours minimum to get it up to rank 5, and then I need to do it for all my characters. It just doesn't make any sense, especially since they want you to traverse the world with this thing. They want you to explore, so why not make your next character easier? That brings us to another point. These are kind of useless. Yes, they help you get around the world, but what's the point of having weapons on these things? They don't do any damage. So here we are. I know this is probably not the best thing to show, but there you go. It's... You might as well have not put any weapons on this machine, because it's just pointless. What were they thinking when they made it? They could have maybe make it stun the enemy or do something different, but the damage on it is so negligible. You're going to jump off and start using it. Maybe that's the point. They don't want you to use it in combat. But what I miss is in Borderlands 3, you can summon a vehicle from a catch-a-ride. Yes, that is not as good as summoning it at any time. but your friends could get in it as well, and you could go around having fun together. This is a co-op game, and you cannot do that. You summon a vehicle and it's yours, and your friends go one way, you go one way. It's not, it feels like that has been set back as well in terms of collaborating and working together. All right, here's another issue. With items you don't want, you cannot sell them from the ground. You used to be able to do that. Why can't you do that anymore? You can see now my backpack is full. So what am I to do? I have to run over, sell some stuff over there, or simply drop things on the ground that I don't want. One thing you can do though is take as junk. You can see here if I press Q, I can take these items as junk. Then if I head on over to any vendor, I'll be given the option to sell junk. You can see there, press Q, sell junk. That's the easiest method. But besides that, there simply isn't an easy way to pick up things off the ground. Most of the time, people just end up leaving things there. And with the lost loot container not really working, it seems loot kind of loses its value a little bit. Also because there's nothing really to spend cash on. There is like a plinko machine where you drop like a ball down and it's going to reach the middle. But that's only locked to a quest, and you can't do that again for some reason. There's no gambling in this game to kind of spend your cash, which makes no sense as well. That also feels like it's set back. We have Moxie in her bar. Why isn't there not like a gambling room there to help us spend all this money that we have? This is, you know, my secondary character, and I have $6 million on her, and I haven't even been picking up cash. 14,000 iridium as well, which is more than I'm ever going to use. Now, if I want to get somewhere, I can use Echo4, and Echo4 will provide a path. Now, the problem is Echo4 has a cooldown. So if I press it again, it's not going to activate again. It's not going to scan again. I have to wait to use this waypoint. So they use the compass at the top, which isn't exactly the best method of traversal. The only solution that I've found is going into options, going into gameplay, and going echolocation path visibility duration to long, because it starts off as medium. And this more or less fixes the issue, but it still doesn't in a way. Like if I change where I want to go, I still have to wait. It's still on cooldown. Now, also, I noticed with legendary loot in particular, some have, you know, little modifiers on them, like precision, for example, that don't tell you what exactly they do. So you should be able to inspect and see what the weapon does. You shouldn't need to go online to figure out what it is, or use the weapon to figure out what it does differently. Now, some people have said going to camera mode or photo mode and it'll show you. I've looked online for solutions, and unfortunately that doesn't work either. So that's something else I think they need to provide, just some kind of, okay, this is what the legendary does. So people know, like if this is just a stat improvement, tell us about it. I think this is, yes, I know they've done it in other Borderlands games, but I think we're now in 2025, or maybe 2026 when you're watching this, who knows. We need to, you know, start improving the information that we give people. It shouldn't be just a guessing game. Here's another issue. If I'm in the backpack and I sort by recent, for example, and I want to see what this legendary does, or any of my weapons, and I want to go through them in order, I go to inspect, I have a look. This one actually tells you what the legendary affix does, and then I press back. It takes me out of the backpack and it removes the filter. So now I have to do it again. So it just seems like a lot of little things like this in the game where I haven't really thought it through, and it makes everything take a little bit more time than it should. Now, while we're on the topic of loot, it seems like, at least while leveling, we didn't have the loot variety that we were promised, or even the loot variety that we've seen in other Borderlands titles. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it seemed like we kept getting very similar drops and very similar types of weapons. And on Reddit, the user here, Lexus Portiva F1, sorry if I've massacred your name, has done the work and shown that yes, what we're all feeling is true. So in Borderlands 3 versus Borderlands 4, we can see that there were 40 variety of pistols versus 10 in Borderlands 4. And in Borderlands 3, there's 20 assault rifles versus 12. And then there's 26 shotguns versus 10. Then when you take in consideration, there's no new uniques, which is another problem. In other Borderlands games, when you did quests, you got given unique items. But there isn't that in Borderlands 4. So if you take that into consideration, there's even less variety. So we go into the little comparison chart here, you can see it. There's far less in Borderlands 4 than there is in even Borderlands 2. Just doesn't make any sense to me. It made it feel like there was almost no weapons of value dropping. I just kept getting the same ones, which doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I briefly mentioned it, but in Borderlands 4, you don't get unique non-legendary weapons as quest rewards like you used to. I remember in the other Borderlands games, you'd do a quest and you'd get some kind of unique, interesting item that was specifically tailored to what you just did. In Borderlands 4, instead, you get these really boring, almost loot box-like items which roll like random, really nonsensical items that aren't linked. When I say nonsensical, they aren't linked to what you just did. So it's almost like it's pointless. I did a variety of bounties in order to level up one of my characters, and I just forgot that I was getting rewards for it. I went through all the loot boxes just pressing exit, skipping them all. I didn't see a single legendary. In fact, here's an example of what I'm saying. This is a bounty. It gives experience, it gives cash, it gives iridium, and it gives gear. Now the gear it doesn't matter, does it? It's not telling you what gear you're getting. It's going to be random. It'll be an ordnance, it seems, or even a shield. And it's going to be between green and purple. Even if this was legendary, if this was orange, it's very unlikely that you do get a legendary. It just seems like a backwards step. It doesn't seem like this is a step forward. You know, there should be unique tailored loot to every, at least, side mission and main mission. It doesn't need to be bounties. I can understand why this is randomized, but the point still stands. It feels like there's less loot overall because you're not being rewarded with unique things, and there's simply less variety in types of weapons. You'll also notice in some missions, at a glance, you'll think you're getting a legendary item, but it's really just telling you with the legendary color that there's going to be a lot of this thing. So there's going to be a lot of experience in this mission, but it doesn't quite translate just visually like that unless you know what you're looking for. Now, another issue with the game is how the missions are designed. Now, with this particular mission, you need to talk to her and then head on over to see Zane, right? If you've done this mission before, you kind of know where it's going, right? You're going to make your way over to here and get some parts for Zane, come back, fly yourself over to here, fight a boss, right? It's a very, very long mission. So you know what to do, and you have to do it again in order to unlock a certain ultimate Vault Hunter rank. Now, any sane person would click on her and listen to her chit chat and head on over there. That's the point of this system, where they can continue to talk to you through your Echo device. So I'm going to head on over there and let's see what happens. Okay, she says, Vault Hunter, there's something you need to see. Now, the mission will not trigger unless I go back to her and talk to her. So she's telling us we need to see something over there. So now we need to follow her. So that's the reason we couldn't leave, because we need to stand here and follow her. See, look, we need to be near her. Okay, now that is setting off. So, and here lays the problem. I need to do this to unlock the next ultimate Vault Hunter rank, and there's nowhere for me to teleport back to, because I haven't discovered this location yet, because we haven't done the missions on this character, this new level 30 character yet. We weren't forced to do this mission. So we haven't even revealed the map. So I'm going to have to walk all the way back there now, or drive all the way back there before proceeding to here, where I know the quest wants me to go. There's no reason why we need to follow Levain. Why is this a mission? Why is this a quest objective? So there's a lot of missions like this where it unnecessarily forces you to listen to babble and talking, and it doesn't let you progress the story. Like realistically, what they should have done is given you that quest marker straight away and said, head on over there and she will talk while this happens, while you maneuver over there, or at least speed up the chatter. Now, this is not so much an issue as to why, I don't understand why they did this. They let you fight for your life and fully restore your health with this specialization. They make it so your guns are automatically reloaded with this specialization, and they make it so you can aim down sights with this specialization, but there's nothing that lets you use your ordnance when you're in fight for your life. So you can see right now, I'm unable to use ordnance to take these guys down, right? So if I had gone, or even my action skill, which makes no sense. So if I focus at all on a build that got all of its damage from my skills, like Scourge, for example, or ordnance, like for example, a heavy weapon, then I'm really gimped. It's going to be really hard for me to get back up and fight for your life if I've taken that path. So it really only encourages you to go specific builds, and we see that now with the best builds in the game. They're all gun damage focused. We've got Rafa and his Ricochet build. We've got Harlow with the action skill multiplying her gun damage with radiation effects. We've got the Bleed Vex build. We've got a very strange aim and melee build that I guess kind of proves the point. It doesn't really work when you're knocked to the ground. So this whole system only favors one type of playstyle, and it feels that way even with gear as well, but that's a whole other topic. So here I am in a vault just to show off how ridiculously powerful these turrets are. This isn't the one that is ridiculous, but there is a siege variety that shoots like these white things into the air that hit you, and they're very, very hard to see, but they will almost always one-shot you. Now, there are a lot of enemies like that in the game, and I just think this level of over-tuned damage just isn't very conducive to a fun play experience, especially for newer players without an overpowered build like this. Like, what are they supposed to do? It's just probably not going to be possible. I know this is Ultimate Vault Hunter rank 5, but even in Ultimate Vault Hunter rank 1, you die so quickly that you're almost forced to play a certain way. And there are a lot of enemies, especially the siege varieties, that kill you so quickly and you don't know that they're killing you. You don't know that they're the reason why you're dying. And there's also the vile enemies, which are, true to their name, absolutely vile, but almost too hard to kill quickly enough that they're almost there to be a roadblock in terms of a time sink for you, unless you have explosive weapons or say Harlow's Disco Ball of Death, for example, that make them a lot easier. With a build like this, for example, if I'm against someone vile, I'm going to have to switch over to the hollow point rockets, and that's specifically here just to take care of enemies like that. Otherwise, the auto shotguns are generally better. But there are some enemies that don't feel like their mechanics are there to be a fun challenge. It feels like it's almost a roadblock or some way to make it a bit more difficult, like the siege turrets and the variety of bulkheads that are a siege mode. I don't know what they're called, I can't remember, but they shoot things from a distance that end up one-shotting you no matter how much you've invested in anything. So you have to dodge out of the way or you die, and that's just not fun. There should be a way to stop that happening. And yes, it's not a massive point, but it is something that reduces at least my experience. I'd love to know what you guys think. So those are the major points. You know, we have the lost loot not working properly. We have the way the drops aren't very fun. New characters not getting any of the waypoints or any help from your previous characters, so they have to start so fresh. It actually probably is quicker for you to start a level 1 character and just go through the story in order to get all the waypoints and stuff, because it might even take longer as a level 30 character. So that doesn't make any sense to me. The banks is a major problem not being able to share loot between your characters and being hamstrung like that is a huge problem. Hover drives don't share. You can't use ordnance or skills in Fight for Your Life, even if you spec into it in Specializations, which doesn't make any sense if you've got a character that focuses on those things. Then we have a cooldown on Echo4, inspecting weapons, screws with filters. We have, you know, I didn't mention it, but tracked missions sometimes change at random, which is very strange. There's no auto sell loot option. Vehicles are useless in combat. It doesn't let you jump into a vehicle with a friend, so it lacks that co-op ability, so to speak. There's also weird co-op balancing, which I didn't go through, but they might have fixed that by now. But it seems to, well, at least when I was playing with G-Man and Nauza, who are also other content creators, it would boost enemies up so high in a level that they would be exclamation marks. But if I played solo, they would be my level. It didn't make any sense, and it made it very difficult and very spongy to get through them in co-op. Then you got to wait around for NPCs to finish talking, instead of just heading to the mission or starting the objective while they do give the exposition, which makes no sense. And it's weird that they have a system where they can talk to you through the Echo device, but not letting you do that. It seems like you're just standing around waiting. You can't even go into your inventory and mess with your inventory because it pauses time when you do that unless you're in co-op. The loot box reward system kind of takes away the fun. I know I don't have any here right now, but I would prefer dedicated drops, especially with side missions and main missions. It doesn't have to be in bounties, but it's more fun that way, getting something and knowing what you're getting. So I'd like to know if there's anything in the game that makes you wonder, what were the developers thinking when they put this in? Let me know below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Now, I might have gone through all these problems, but that's because I love the game and they want them to fix it, or at least improve the next one that they make. These are all from a place of love. These are decisions that I don't exactly agree with, but that doesn't mean I don't like the game. I very much do. There's a reason why I've got so many level 50s and I've played this to death. Yes, I did get it 2 or 3 weeks earlier than everyone else, and that's why I've played so much. It's not like I'm just sitting there grinding every day. But with all of those issues that I mentioned, I don't enjoy the game as much as I could be. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, ciao friends.